Alright guys, welcome back to God of War 2. Last time we met in God of War 2, we just arrived to the first destination of the game here because Gaia saved us from Hades, if you remember last time when Kratos died. But before we can go to attack Zeus, we need to locate the Sisters of Fate. But before we can do that, we actually have to free our Pegasus from Typhoon here, or Typhon, sorry. And by doing so, we'll be able to get our first magic spell of the game that wasn't Poseidon's Rage, mind you. But right now we just have to navigate through this area by running. It's kind of similar to it's just your typical like run when he's not blowing air. That way you don't fall off the that way you don't fall to your death. You know, it's kind of similar to I cannot believe I'm about to reference Sonic 06 here, but I'm gonna fucking do it. The section of Silver's Flame Core, where there's that giant orb in at the end of the level that you have to get to at the in order to destroy it, but you can only go when it's not emitting a wave towards Silver. It's pretty much like that, or you know, it's also just a very common trope in platformers. And here's where I fucked up. Nice job, dipshit. I mean, well, Kratos died before, like, twice. Actually, hold on. How many times has Kratos died in the God of War series? Give me a minute here to think. He died in God of War 1. He went to Hades intentionally in God of War Chains of Olympus. You don't go to Hades at all in Ghost of Sparta, if I'm thinking right, and Ascension. He dies in God of War 3. He intentionally goes to Helheim in God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018. So, yeah, that's quite a few times. Actually, no, he goes to Hades twice in God of War 3, if I remember right. He doesn't die to go the second time, but he goes twice. In God of War 3, now that I'm thinking about it, because he has to go back to break the chain that leads to Pandora's box in 3. Oh, sorry, spoilers for 3, by the way. Yeah, but actually before we go to get the next magic upgrade, we're actually getting a pretty creative puzzle here for these treasure chests. So what you have to do is you have to throw the enemies into the fire pit, and when you do, it'll slowly melt the ice around the treasure chest. You have to make sure you hit them dead into the fire, though. Luckily, Kratos auto aims for the fire, so you only have to do it. You only have to really just throw a few times. Whatever, you know, it's just the problem is you got to hit them. You just got to get him with the grab. And I will also say maybe give yourself a good distance away from the fire. That way you can make sure you actually hit it. Because I think if Kratos is too close to it, he'll just throw him into the wall and it won't count. But yeah, you get some red orbs for that. And also, you know, you get the experience for killing the enemies. So you get 3 red orb chests and a Gorgonite or Phoenix Feather. I can't remember which one it is. We'll find out in a second. I'm pretty sure it's a Gorgonite, considering I haven't gotten the spell yet. Or fuck me, I guess. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're just predetermined for whatever chest it's going to be. Because it is, I don't remember if it is predetermined chests. Like, I can't recall if they're actually predetermined. I know that, like, once you start getting, like, once you got all the magic and health upgrades, they basically just become red orb chests because you have no reason to get Gorgonites and Phoenix Feathers. So if you got one, it'd be absolutely pointless. I know that, but I don't know if it's randomized on whether or not it's a Gorgonite or Phoenix Feather. I feel like it isn't for some reason, but I don't know. I've never really looked into depth about that. You know, I've always just I've always had the mentality of just go for any treasure chest you can find, and you'll get something out of it, usually. Oh, God, that makes me cringe. God, injuries to the eye always just make me... Ugh. Yep, so now we have Typhon's Bane, which is Kratos' bow, essentially. So what you have to do is you just press the L2 button to aim, and you can shoot arrows as long as you have magic. So actually, I do want to get into something really interesting that I learned recently about this specific magic spell, and another one we'll get, which is basically a version of this game's version of Medusa's Gaze from last game, where if you pull out the bow, like when you just pull it out and you haven't fired yet, like if you just do it like just before an enemy attacks you, you actually have invincibility frames during that. I discovered that I want to say I discovered it by complete accident once, because I noticed that when I took out the bow to fire at an enemy in a distance and an enemy from behind me was about to hit me, I ended up not taking damage from it, and it was clear as day that the enemy hit me. And it took me a minute to process what happened, but I kind of ignored it at first. But then when I realized that happened, I tried to experiment to see if I could do it consistently. And yeah, you can do that consistently. You can do that with Typhon's Bane and Uriel's Gaze that we get later on in the game. But the thing is that the timing it's actually pretty loose. It's like there's a little room for error. The only thing is you just have to make sure you don't fire or move when you do it. So you have to be at an absolute standstill when you pull out the respective weapon if you want invincibility frames. By the way, god damn, look at that. I should be dead. Like, you see that shit? Like, holy hell, I should be dead from that alone. But I guess I got lucky. I guess the gods favored me there. Yeah, but as you can see, though, a weapon that can attack from a distance seems like that's the perfect thing to get Prometheus down. So actually, I think last part I was talking about the God of War remakes and what potentially could be in them and all that kind of stuff. The main thing that, you know, most people are looking forward to, obviously, is just how good graphically it's going to be. You know, that's the part I look forward to as well. I just, and the argument that's going on right now is, are they going to make it like God of War 8 2018 or Ragnarok, where it's over the shoulder and a little bit slower than these games? And or will it be, you know, what it is like what I'm playing right now? And in all honesty, I do see that I don't see them going to an over-the-shoulder camera angle exclusively for the remakes, because that would be, they know exactly what would happen if they do. They'd be under fire for that kind of shit. I mean, I could see them doing an over-the-shoulder angle for, like, certain story moments. Like, there's, like one instance I'm thinking of is, say, like, they make the flashbacks of Kratos in the Spartan army, you know, over the shoulder. Like, you know, because he's using just his sword and not, the Blades of Chaos. And that's another thing I kind of want to see, or a thing I kind of hope for, is maybe some playable sections in God of War 1 where you're playing as Kratos, like, killing his wife and daughter. Like, you know, hating Ares, if that makes sense. Like, I would like to see, you know, that era of Kratos at his, you know, playing as that era of Kratos. Like, it probably wouldn't be really, you know, it'd be pretty hard to do because, you know, they'd have to basically limit what Kratos can do. Because then, like, you know, say it's like in the middle of the game and you already have Poseidon's Rage and all that stuff, then, you know, they'd have to make it to where those abilities are locked temporarily or something like that. But I feel like that'd be a pretty cool thing to see, where, you know, you just see, you know, you get to actually play out, you know, Kratos, you know, in his, whatchamacallit, crazy arc or whatever, where he was serving Ares. So yeah, by the way, now we can shoot down Prometheus, and as a result, poor Prometheus burns in the fires of Olympus. But, you know, he wanted that, so it's not on us.
You have freed Prometheus from the torment of the gods. His flesh has tainted the fires of Olympus and embodied it with the power of the Titans. These ashes will give you great strength, Kratos. Take them within you and use this strength to defeat your enemies.
So now we basically learned about Rage of the Titans, which is our rage mode of the game. So similar to last game where we had the Rage of the Gods, we now have Rage of the Titans, where, you know... Yep. So if you press L3 and R3 together, you activate Rage of the Titans, and you can, you know, it's the same exact thing as last time, where all of your attacks have more power. It's limited. But it is you can recharge it the same way, and I believe this is different from God of War 1, where you could turn off Rage of the Titans whenever you want. And another thing is, in God of War 1, I believe you had to wait for Athena to say that your rage meter was completely full, but I don't remember if that was true, if you did have to wait. I can't remember that off the top of my head. But in this game, you can activate it whenever you want, as long as you have some in there. Alright, this is actually me overthinking a treasure chest here. Yeah, so I think I kill myself like 3 or 4 times here because I overthink the treasure chest. So I end up having to redo the Rage of the Titans tutorial, but it's not that bad. I'm not editing it out because, well, it's not that long. But this is just me overthinking it because I'm stupid. But what was I saying about God of War? Because I think I feel that the game that benefits the most from from the remake is God of War 1. Because there is a lot that they can do to improve 1 specifically. The big one to me is, you know, improving, you know, the design, the structure of the game, and making it less... what's the word? Boring? Because, you know, I think back in the Let's Play, I got tired of seeing the Rings of Pandora. But, you know, I mean, obviously they're going to bring that back. They're going to make the Pandora stuff, you know, the central focus, because that was the central focus of God of War. They can't really, you know, change that. They can't really change that. But, you know, I mean, I hope they add some more stuff in between to make things more interesting. One thing I hope to see is, I don't know if anyone remembers this cutscene, but back in the first game, when Kratos first arrives to the Temple of Pandora, which is on Kronos' back, the game, you know, just skips the climb for it. Or, you know, it just has Gaia narrate that Kratos climbed Kronos' back for however long. I kind of feel like that would be an interesting level, you know, maybe just a quick level or something, you know, to, you know, make that section more interactive than it was. Because, you know, it was just kind of boring. You know, I understand why they just cut to the Rings of Pandora at the time, because, you know, it was early, it was a PS2 game, and it was their first game, so I think they just didn't want to overstay their welcome. Well, I feel like it could have been cool to have a bit of a, you know, level dedicated to climbing Kronos. I mean, they did that in God of War 3, really interestingly. I mean, in that game, you're fighting Kronos, but, you know, you can still, you know, you technically climb him. I'm overthinking the hell out of this puzzle, but, yeah. I mean, I think I do that a few times for treasure chests throughout this game, where I just kind of overthink the hell out of it and not realize it until later on. because I know you can't make that jump. There's nothing to shoot. You're just... I'm overthinking it, and I really love that about myself sometimes. But I think... I'm trying to think of what God of War... What would benefit for God of War 2 for a remake. Probably more about the sister... More with the Sisters of Fate, to be honest with you. I think there could be some more story with them. Hell, I could say there could be more story with Kratos in general. In, like, I feel like maybe Hades could be more than just a simple climb out, in all honesty. Like, I like the idea, but I would have liked, you know, similar to God of War 3, there was a bit of a level to it, but... Or a combat gauntlet in... 3... or a combat gauntlet to escape Hades. That would be cool. The other thing I'm thinking of that God of War 2 might benefit from a little bit is maybe get rid of the Pegasus sections, or, you know, just have them, or if you're gonna do them at all, have them a little more often, I guess, because you only really do them twice. Once after this, like once before we got here, and then the one after this after we finish here. Yeah, spoiler alert, we finish up here in a minute, and we have to get back on the Pegasus. And by the way, yes, I finally got the treasure chests. And by the way, also you can also recharge your Rage of the Titans with gold orbs instead of. I think back in the first game, it was just I think damage you took and damage you inflicted, or I think it was. I don't remember what caused your rage meter to go up back in the first game. I'm assuming it was damage taken or damage dealt. I would assume it's damage dealt, considering that just happened there. Maybe it's both. I don't know. I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember much about, like, I don't remember what caused the rage meter to go up in the first game. In all honesty, though, I think the worst rage for me, personally, has to go to 3. I love 3, I really do, but I do not like its rage mode that much. And that's just because Kratos feels really uncontrollable when it goes, and I'm pretty sure that's the point, but I mean also in terms of gameplay, because in 3, what he does is he pulls out the Blade of Olympus, and he goes butt-fuck bonkers with it, essentially. And he's swinging left, right, and sideways. And I understand, you know, he's enraged, but, like, you know, Kratos, you know, would... I feel like should be a little more precise with it. You know, at least it feels like I'm always missing with the blade when in rage mode in 3. Oh. There we go. I finally upgraded the Blades of Athena, and I am surprised he would want a move called Rampage of the Furies, considering God of War Ascension. In fact, the Furies are dead. I just realized that. Yeah, the Furies are dead right now. So... yeah, because I'm trying to think. Yeah, right now, in terms of everything Kratos has killed that's major, up to this point in the timeline, because Zeus mentioned in part 1 that Kratos' hands are already stained with the blood of the gods, or a blood of a god. You know, he's only meaning Ares there, but he killed Persephone, he killed Charon, he killed the Furies, he killed Orcos in Ascension. I'm trying to think of Chains of Olympus. Who'd he kill in Chains of Olympus besides Persephone? By the way, I was trying to do something funny here, but I couldn't do it because I was too eager. I was trying to make him flip you off. But, it's fine. Sorry, I have the mind of a 2-year-old sometimes. Alright, we got our fire horse back. Hold on, let me check and see if there's a chest here. You know, what's stopping Typhon from just slamming his hand back on Kratos the second he gets back on the Pegasus and killing him? In fact, where'd he go? Alright, but we got our second Pegasus section. But back to thinking about who Kratos has killed up to this point. Could be a smart ass and say his wife and kid. But I mean in terms of gods.
Kratos, behold the island of creation, home to the Sisters of Fate. Here, the path to your true destiny begins. The island is fraught with danger. It was created to prevent all from reaching the 3 Sisters of Fate. The power of the Sisters will allow you to return to that moment when Zeus betrayed and killed you, Kratos, thus changing your fate and the fate of others.
Alright, so this is our second and final Pegasus section, and, you know, same rules apply here. You gotta do some Star Fox shit. Something's wrong with my G-diffuser! Fox! Actually, no, he wouldn't scream Fox because he doesn't know Fox. Zeus! It's somehow Zeus. That'd be something Kratos would do, is he would somehow blame everything on the gods. Like he stubs his toe on the couch. Athena! You know, honestly though, I don't really have a strategy for the aerial battle. I just go fucking crazy. Because I don't think there really is a good... I don't really think there's really anything you can do that the game really encourages you to do to make this go faster. Oh damn, this is Sparta. What if the Pegasus didn't come back for him though? The Pegasus is being controlled by Zeus. Kratos, you could have done this attack from any angle, but you had to pull him to where he's to your right. Oh. Ooh. I do love this soundtrack. I really do love this theme that's playing. I think it's called Battle for the Skies. I really like this theme. Or Battle in the... It's one of those two. Either way, good theme. I like how I just got barraged by missiles there, but the QTE didn't care about that. That's what I love about the God of War series, is that enemies will wait patiently for you to murder their friends. Like, hold on, guys. Kratos is doing a QTE. Leave him alone. Oh. I'm pretty sure this is the last one that we have to do here. Yep, because now we have to face the big guy. This is actually the guy from last section who blinded us right before we got here. Or right before we got to Typhon's cavern. But now we have a proper boss fight with him. What's the strategy for the boss fight? I don't fucking know. Don't get hit. I will say this boss fight is kind of bullshit because we're basically setting up to get a secondary weapon, but we don't get it until way later, which is so annoying. Because that spear he's using, that becomes one of our secondary weapons. And we can't use it, and we don't actually get it until later on. Like usually, you know, when you kill an enemy, you get their, you know, you get the upgrade that you're supposed to get from them, like, almost immediately in the series. But no, this time you have to wait until... I want to say after the... I know it is after the Bog of the Forgotten. Like, you get it after that. Like, I think it's after... I think it's, like, after the Perseus fight, I want to say. Or is it before? And it's just because the dude lands far away from us, but... he's finished. One last QTE. Oh, shit. Luckily, they gave me a second chance on that, which is nice of them. I will say, I think God of War 2 is a little more merciful on the QTEs. Kratos, take the spear. Kratos, take the spear. Oh, you fucking idiot. I think I almost forgot that QTE was there, because I was about to take a sip of my drink, and then I saw the circle button prompt on there, like, oh shit! But we made it to the Temple of Lachesis. Yay! So now we're actually in the, basically the setting of the game for the rest of it, the Island of Fate, or the Island of the Sisters of Fate. I can't remember what it's called specifically. But throughout this entire game, we're going to be stuck here on this island. But luckily, unlike God of War 1, the islands of the Sisters of Fate is actually a lot more interesting than the Rings of Pandora and the Cliffs of Madness. So I can say that with with a little bit of confidence that we're going to have we're going to have less of a drag here. And plus, there are still plenty of things to keep us on our toes and be more interesting. But I believe that's actually going to do it for this part of God of War 2. The next time we meet in God of War 2, we're going to start going into the temple. I mean, we're going to start exploring the Temple of Lachesis and seeing how we can get to the Sisters of Fate. So see you guys next time, and take care.